Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the CoinGeek Weekly Livestream. I am your host, Kurt Wuckert Jr. I will do the entire show in one single breath. No, I won't. We are live from the South Florida Bitcoin Citadel Blue Room, everybody, and we are rocking and also rolling. We may also be rolling. We are going to do a live Ask Me Anything show. So feel free. Ask me anything, and we'll cover it. We have Brandon Ward is filling in for Mr. Alex Moon. Alex Moon is undisposed at the moment. Actually, my light looks really hot. Do I look warm or cool? It's too bright. It's too bright in my face. So I'll turn it down. We're gonna go a little cool. We're gonna do a cool show today. Bring it down. A little better. It's a little better. I think it looks the same on screen. Also, Brandon Ward. So I'm actually just realizing this now, Brandon. I'm logged into the other StreamYard account, so I can't physically see you. So I'm not getting that visual feedback that I desire in my life. I cannot see into the green room while in this mode. So I am technically a guest on this show, which is frankly a little weird for me. So if you could like, subscribe, hit the alert bell, let everybody know we are going to be doing Ask Me Anything show. I will do that. So I actually took radio in 2000. I think it started in 2004 or 5. 4. Don't pound on the desk, and also don't make little verbal. Like I have a tendency to go before I speak. Now that I've said it, you're probably going to hear it a lot, but. That's one of the things that I consistently do that is ultimately pretty unprofessional from a here's how you should or should not broadcast standpoint, but I think it comes across as authentic. So I just haven't trained it out of myself. And that's going to be the excuse that I'm giving as to why I am ultimately only marginally professional. So I do occasionally pound the desk. If you have questions, comments, blessings, cursings, rapes, gripes, or gropes, please put them in the troll box and I will be answering them forthwithly. Also, I'm going to do a couple of announcements here. So if you are capable and if you are able to come to Palm Beach County, Florida at the end of this week, we are doing the Jungle Bus workshop. That's right. Bitcoin Association has been very kind to help us launch the opening of the South Florida Bitcoin Citadel. And we have done this. We are open for business. We're having a good time. We've got people doing all the stuff full time here. We got a couple people out in the office. And actually, we got a person and a dog out in the outside in the main office right now. Hello, Mr. V and Mr. P, I guess is what I'll call the dog. And then we are, and then I'm here. And then, but we also have typically we got like 5 or 6 people here on a normal day. We got 5 or 6 people coming in, and then on usually the busiest day of the week, we'll have like a dozen or so. And then we're going to be doing meetups and workshops and hackathons and all kinds of stuff down here at the South Florida Citadel. I have been warning you for at least a year now that you need to come down to Florida if you want to be part of all the cool stuff that we're up to. Also, segue, please put your questions and comments and everything else in the troll box because this is an Ask Me Anything show. And you can quite literally, ask me anything, and then I will answer them. There is no topic off limit. But you do have to make your way through Brandon Ward. Of course, everybody can see, if you're watching on YouTube right now, you can see the live troll box. So you can see what questions people get asked, and you can see Brandon censoring you deeply. He is the man in control of the information, and he will stop you from asking inconvenient questions. Probably, maybe not. I don't know. But for real, you'll be able to see them blasting through as they blast through. And that's going to be good for all of us. So if you want to come down for the Jungle Bus workshop, which I encourage you to do, it is going to be a really good time. We're going to teach you, first of all, let's back this up a little bit. People in big block Bitcoin, BSV, primarily will say that it is not necessary. In fact, it is not desirable for you to run a quote unquote full node, right? So what that means is you should not download the entire client and do all the validation yourself because you don't have any proof of work and you're going to be this disconnected edge node anyways. And who does that benefit? All it does is add an edge to the network that needs to be served, but it can't provide anything back. So it will fundamentally not be near the center of the network. And this adds latency and plus it adds cost for you. So unless you have some kind of way to monetize that cost, which trust me, you almost certainly do not, then it's just added cost, right? So, but if you want to run a Bitcoin-based business, if you want Bitcoin data, for example, if you're in the token space, or if you are using JPEGs or GIFs or whatever on your blockchain in order to serve your client's data, how do you do that without running the full node? Well, there were a couple of options, just a couple of things, and none of them worked particularly well, because what they were doing is ultimately just running a full node and serving you that data off of their node. And then they weren't making any money. And then for the same reason, they would shut off. This is Unwriter, this is Matter Cloud, and this is a whole bunch of other clients that were in the same position. So we created Jungle Bus. And by we, I mean primarily me and Luke Rowanaz from Tonic Pow, who's quite a dear friend, actually, and an ally and a hell of a Bitcoin thinker. And then it was implemented by him and another couple of people. And ultimately, it's a Gorilla Pool product that allows you to simply subscribe via API to just the blockchain data you need. And then you can fill the information onto a server that you control. And instead of paying $1,000 a month to run the whole node, maybe you're paying $5 a month on Firebase or whatever to host just that little bit of information that you actually need. And then it is attested to, its authenticity, its purity is attested to by Jungle Bus for a small fee. And that's it. So we just want to teach people how to use it. Basically, how to set up subscriptions, how to get your data, how to store it, ideally how we envision you using the product, so that you don't try to use it for something that maybe it's not used for, and then you're causing yourself problems. We ultimately want to enable people to build applications on BSV the way that we've always envisioned. The thing that has always made me very excited. I'm very excited about what we can build with Bitcoin if you have the ability to simply get your data in a way that is trusted from a proof of work provider. So that's kind of the key, is that I was saying you probably shouldn't run a node, and really you probably shouldn't. But Gorilla Pool and other mining pools as well, but this is a Gorilla Pool product. Gorilla Pool runs a node because it is building blocks with that node. About 9% of the network yesterday, actually, but which I'm pretty proud of. But we are running the node as a profit center. It is not just some cost that we have no way to compensate for. And so because we have that node anyways, for us to use Jungle Bus or create Jungle Bus to serve you that data is just a trivial additional cost for you. So ultimately, on Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time at the South Florida Bitcoin Citadel, we are going to be having a workshop where we teach you how to use the tools. And once you've been able to see that and use the tools, you should be able to very simply deploy your business on BSV. For those of you who cannot travel into the country, or can't travel to the state, or are simply unwilling to hop in the car or hop on a train or whatever to come visit, you can also watch on the at Bitcoin_Florida account, both on YouTube and on Twitter. So that's what we're going to be doing for a lot of the rest of the week, frankly, because we got a lot to prepare for. We got a lot to do. Citadel is cleaned up, but we're having a bunch of guests, and we're really looking forward to it. So for everybody, I'm going to start to answer some questions. I'd appreciate it if you put more questions here in the box. Oh, we should talk a little bit about the ordinal stuff too. So if let me throw out a couple of suggestions. If anybody wants to learn anything about what are ordinal NFTs, why do they work, why are they here? I thought BTC was incapable of doing JPEGs on chain, and what's going to happen next? These are all very relevant questions that you could be asking me this week. Also, I just saw that the Super Bowl will not be allowing any cryptocurrency related advertisement this year, which is funny because in inverse to the inverse of what happened last year, which was watching the Super Bowl and seeing all of the Larry David doing FTX commercials, and then that Coinbase ad with just the QR code going doot doot doot, doing that thing. I tweeted a few times during the Super Bowl, top is in, the top is in, the top is clearly in. And it was indeed in. That was the top, everybody. So, yeah, big crazy. But the inverse of that, as I was going to say, is the bottom in? Was that is it the bottom when, cryptocurrency is now banned from the Super Bowl? Crazier things have happened, but it's a crazy industry full of crazy people. Mr. Ward, if we would start to make our way through the Qs, I can start to queue up the As, but maybe Do we have an ad to play? Should we just play it? I can't see if you're giving me a thumbs up, so please let me know in the private chat if we're going to do an ad. I presume we're advertising the London Blockchain Conference, which happens at the end of May and the beginning of June. We do indeed have an ad. Give me 30 seconds. Fire the ad away, Mr. Ward. Welcome back, everybody. Oh, that was a good fade out. I feel like it didn't used to fade out. Is this a new StreamYard feature? That was good. We're doing good. Doing well. Good and well. Be good. Question, please, Mr. Ward. Let's do the first one. What is happening with Tulip? That's like a 3-hour special right there, isn't it? Okay, so Tulip could mean a lot of things at this point. There is there's the Tulip Trust. I believe it's Tulip Trust 1, 2, and 3. There's also Tulip Trading Limited. I think it's TTL, if I recall. So let's presume it's all of these things. What's happening with the Tulip? So basically, Tulip is a name used by Craig that is a business entity vehicle for doing all kinds of various things. So Tulip Trust would be a trust structure for protecting his assets from things like seizure, unreasonable taxation, various other things. And then Tulip Trading Limited would be a business entity for moving stuff around, doing any and all legal business, presumably. As for what's happening, if we talk about Tulip Trading Limited, I believe TTL is the plaintiff. Let me think about this. Let me get my legal terms right. So I believe TTL is the plaintiff in the devs case, is what I have come to call it. But a little bit of background. So Craig alleges that he received his coins from the what is the term for it? I always picture the guy in Back to the Future who's, excuse me, are you Marty McFly? He's the guy who hands over the documents and says, hey, you've received your private keys. But shortly thereafter, the keys or the key slices or whatever actually existed there, there was a hack on Craig's server that contained those private keys. Now, Craig is stating or has stated that developers of such software act as a de facto fiduciary over such networks and would like his coins to be reassigned from one spot, basically one private key managing a series of UTXOs, and reassigned to a new location where new private keys are managing a different set of UTXOs that have not been compromised in some way by the hacker, for lack of a better term. Initially, this was about a year ago or sometime in the last year or so, the judge in the UK threw the case out saying, this doesn't really make sense to me that open source developers would be fiduciaries over such things. Just in the last week, it was an appeal. Craig said, no, I really think that this deserves to be looked at. Craig through his counsel, obviously. And they took another look. And so 3 judges took a look at basically case law and other court precedent to see, okay, are there situations where an open source developer, somebody that is managing code, has ever been held to a fiduciary duty? Now, depending on how you define some of these things, I think there's an argument to be made that yes, there has, and there's an argument to be made that no, there hasn't, which is clearly why there's an argument, and now they have agreed that it should indeed go to trial. So Craig is suing the core cash, Bitcoin Cash, eCash, and I believe also the SV holder or whatever at Bitcoin Association. I don't recall exactly how everybody is titled on the thing, but Some entities are individual, some entities are other entities and things, but basically saying that you act as fiduciaries over these networks by de facto because you don't really have anybody that's resisting the changes that you're making. And therefore, if you make an update to the reference client, basically everybody just upgrades, or at least all the major nodes that are building blocks tend to upgrade because they want to validate the most recent set of rules, and they're not really in a position to fight you anyways, which again implies that there's a fiduciary like if you're the maintainer of a financial network and you issue a patch that just gets accepted as reality by default, well, he's arguing that they have the ability to then patch the network in such a way where coins through a process, it's not just a, hey, give me my coins and a switch flicks, but there's 1,000 blocks and has to be a certain amount of the total proof of work. Not to mention also needs to have a court order that's been domesticated in all the relevant jurisdictions of the places that would do said reassignment. He's basically making the argument that the fiduciaries over the network have the ability and the authority to put that patch into BTC, BCH, XEC, and BSV and give Craig his coins back if he can prove to a judge that they were indeed his coins. So if he can prove that he bought them beyond a shadow of a doubt, that he held them in those wallets that were then hacked roughly 2.5 or 3 years ago, then they should be able to be reassigned. That both the software and the people that can implement it all exist and can be coordinated, and therefore he should be able to get his property, even if it doesn't conform with the presumptions about the rules that exist in the current zeitgeist. So the thing that happened recently, to answer your basic question, is that 3 judges said, yes, this deserves to go to trial. We believe that there is some precedent for the argument to occur in court. There is my answer. Next question, please, Mr. Ward. How can I come by? Do I need to make an appointment? I need help, and I have an app that I need help with. Mo, yes, please send me a DM. I do answer my DMs. Sometimes I answer them slowly, and I apologize. Sometimes I also don't have an answer for your basic questions. But no, you should definitely make an appointment because there's not always a developer here, and even if there's a developer here, they may not be ready, able, or willing to help you with your app. So maybe let me know what your app is or does, or what the basic thing is that you need help with, and then we can solicit and say, hey, maybe you can make an appointment with somebody like Zach Wiener, who's here often, and maybe he'll sit down and confer with you for 15 or 30 minutes and figure out if he's the right developer to help you out. Zach, if you're watching, shoot me a message. Let me know if that's something that I should offer for you more often. If it's something really cool, maybe we can talk about helping you out at Jungle Labs, the Gorilla Pool team, but we'll see. So yeah, please just send me a DM. Next one, please. How much power is required for mining? 3-phase 12208. It is a typically it will be a 240 volt or 220. Yeah, it's 220. But you probably don't want to mine at home, and here's why. You're going to consume more power than probably your whole house consumes anyways. For like a box, it's about the size of a shoebox, roughly. And at residential power rates, unless you have some kind of super special deal, like for example, Texans at night, when they're doing the power, they do some power shedding scheme where I think if the sun's down, it's actually free power. So you can mine on your free power, and that could be an interesting opportunity for you. But typically commercial rates are like 15 cents a kilowatt hour, and that is not really conducive to profitable mining on any chain right now, except maybe, I don't know, I've seen some crazy numbers out of like Ethereum Classic and Cadena and Litecoin, but not necessarily because of Litecoin. But I think the combination of Litecoin and Doge being merge mined on the same algorithm makes it particularly profitable. But it's still not really the kind of money you'd be making a lot more money if you were hosting at a co-location facility. So Gorilla Pool, for example, can host one miner and charge you between 8 and 9 cents a kilowatt hour typically. It depends on any number of metrics. But if you were to add more, that the price obviously goes down because you can buy more power in bulk. But it's roughly half of what you'd be paying at retail. So retail residential power is not cheap, and therefore your mining is not profitable typically, but it's also very loud and very hot. So if you live somewhere that creates a lot of heat, that is going to be a big pain in your butt. You're going to have extra cooling costs on top of that, and then it's loud. I don't just mean a little bit loud. It's like multiple blow dryers blowing loud, like high pitched, like fans spinning at high speed. Very unpleasant. So if you have a spouse in the house who likes a little bit of quiet, it's not going to do you well either. So shoot me a DM. Also, I can give you more direct responses. We offer a co-location service and things. So if you wanted to just pay your electric bill to us and we host it, that's also something that could be worked out for you. So that's where I'm at. Oh, but also if you are good at all this stuff, if you're like an electrician and you're super handy and you don't mind the heating issues or the noise, yes, you're going to want a 240 switch. You're going to probably need to beef up your box, your cooling, ventilation, and all kinds of other stuff. But mining at home is also cool. So if you want to do it, by all means, give it a shot. But I did not tell you it was going to be easy or profitable. All right. Next question, Mr. Ward. Do you think Binance is going to do an FTX move? I think in the longest term, all exchanges trend toward bankruptcy, which is sad because they make so much money on so many things. It's kind of crazy that they can't sort of rehypothecate everything and come out with a profit. It seems bizarre to me. But in the short term, here's what I think is going to happen. Now, this is not financial advice. This isn't trading advice. This isn't anything, okay? But the way that I look at the crypto market macro right now, as somebody that's got some experience reading charts and making predictions, also based on sort of macro Fed policy, dollar stuff, whatever, it looks to me like prices are going to pump for a season, maybe a month, maybe a quarter, something. Okay. It's got a little bit of some bullish tendencies, the way that I see it. But I think by the end of the year, we end up seeing another significant move down because liquidity is tight. The dollar is gaining value versus other assets consistently right now. And it's actually bouncing up again, which we should expect based on Fed policy. So when the Fed raises interest rates, they're basically saying, hey, we will make it worth your while to hold dollars. Now, this spooks people that buy equities and commodities and all kinds of other things, but then it also rewards people who might just leave money in a bank account. You remember your grandparents saying, hey, we used to put money in a bank account. We'd earn 5 or 6% on our saving. That was pretty cool. And our house was only $12,000 when we bought it in 1942. Like, why are houses $500,000 today? Well, the reason a house is $500,000 is because the value of the dollar has gone down precipitously as the interest rates of lending have gone down to nearing zero. Now, the flip side of that is if you're holding dollars and interest rates are going up, what that's going to do is harden the value of the dollar, and it is going to soften the value of other assets versus the dollar. So it will be expensive to borrow money to buy a house, but you might be in the situation just like grandma where you can go buy yourself a nice 3-bedroom house for under $20,000. Now, that's a huge flip on a whole bunch of things, and there's a lot of carnage that happens as that happens. This is what I like to call the wood chipper, the economic wood chipper. If all of these things happen, things like Binance, things like Bitcoin, things like all of this stuff, all of those kinds of assets, these things get victimized hard. And I believe Binance would be a major victim of that. I've seen all kinds of evidence showing that Binance could be insolvent, illiquid, and all kinds of other things, but it's super, super speculative. And as long as the Tether printer exists, it's really hard to know how long does it last. But like I said, I think ultimately all exchanges trend toward bankruptcy on a long enough time scale. Will Binance survive? I think if we go into another, quote unquote, crypto bull market, Binance does fine. If this bear market continues to last and things continue to consolidate toward dollars, Binance is in very, very big trouble sooner rather than later. But that's the kind of God mode macro stuff that I'm unsure how to predict, I guess. So, sorry, you're also not supposed to do that in the microphone. Mr. Ward, please put up another question. COPA when. Hey, Bitcoin Apostle. Everybody should follow Bitcoin Apostle on TikTok. He does a really good job putting out fun content. And there's not a lot of BSV people on TikTok, so you should check him out and give him some support over there. You heard it here first. COPA stuff doesn't happen until, I want to say it's next year. There's a lot of predicate stuff going into COPA. That's all I got. That's all I know. Sorry. Next question. Yes. Can you talk about your and Dr. Wright's exchange regarding separate service companies for credit card processing? So I tweeted today, who do you go to for credit card processing? Because we have opened 3 accounts at Gorilla Pool. We've been very clear and upfront that we are a mining pool. Here's what we do. We want to allow people to pay for energy with their credit cards. We can automate billing. When it's February 1st, you get charged $175, for example. Just automated. Let's keep it simple. These credit card companies keep saying, ooh, no, you're in the cryptocurrency business. We don't allow the use of credit card for purchasing cryptocurrency, to which I have had to say at first nicely, but then an increasingly frustrated tone out of me, we don't sell cryptocurrency. We are offering a co-location service and people need to pay their electric bill. And I keep getting these canned responses from people. Sorry, our auditors, our actuaries, our people, we have looked into it and ultimately have decided that you are in the business of selling cryptocurrency and we don't allow credit card processing for cryptocurrency sales. They always say sales. So they're not just saying it's cryptocurrency industry or blockchain, none of that. They keep saying cryptocurrency sales. And so I keep getting my account shut off as if I'm selling coins, and we don't sell coins. So I've been irritated and I basically just said, you know what? I'm going to ask Twitter, what the heck is anybody doing? Craig made the suggestion, basically spin up a separate services company, basically create a company that only does order processing, and it can be Order Processing Associates, LLC, or something to that effect. And it can receive credit card payments, and then it works as a pass-through entity to pay people's electric bills. So this was basically what we were going to do anyways. I was just wondering if instead of paying for another business registration, we could just simply find somebody that was interested in doing business with us. Either way, none of them are a big deal, but that's the broad brush strokes on what we're doing. So this is why a lot of companies have subsidiaries, because one's allowed to do business in some state with certain licensing, and another kind of company is allowed to do other kinds of businesses in another state with other kinds of licenses. So that's the idea. Next question, please. Can Kurt answer the next question as the Terminator? Yes, I suppose I can. Terminator, though. Terminator he's pretty wooden. He doesn't really do, he keeps it very flat. He's very monotone. I actually prefer the manic, crazy Arnold Schwarzenegger, like the Total Recall or Predator or Last Action Hero era Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I'm gonna go for one of those. Let's see that next question. Is Kurt in the Geist gang on RelayX Club? So no, as far as I understand it, Kurt is not involved in any of the RelayX Club stuff. If you want to invite him, you could please give me some directions. He's going to do his very best to hop in and to join the club. So please send your invitation. It's going to be fantastic, and we're going to love it. You're going to love it. It's going to be the best thing you ever did. That's all I got. All right. No. Ultimately, I really, me and RelayX have had a little bit of a contentious relationship, but I really like the Club RelayX stuff. So good on you guys for Club RelayX. I'm glad to see how you built it. I think a lot of that stuff is really cool. I just need to dig into it myself. I haven't gotten to it. I've been pretty busy doing some other stuff, but I really want to. You have encouraged me to swallow my pride and check out what's going on at Club RelayX stuff. So congratulations, Jack Lou. Really, I mean it. KK Wuckert, nice name, I like it. Kurt, why did you transition? Oh, here we go. From XMR and BCH to BSV. Why did you feel BSV was fundamentally a better project? This is good. This is good information. This is a good conversation to have. So I thought Monero was super cool amid the Bitcoin civil war. So in 2015, when they got rid of, or basically brought the op return size down in Bitcoin and made it that tokens no longer worked. 2015, 16. Now I get it mixed up in my head, but this put me on a perusal of altcoins. It's the reason I got into Ethereum. and some other things. I also made pretty good friends with the guys from like Dash and Digibyte. And to me, it was a major coup in Bitcoin. And so I was kind of in the camp that like, well, Bitcoin's dead. It got taken over by a bunch of pricks that don't want to use Bitcoin for all kinds of cool stuff that it can do. Two things that stuck out to me. I always really liked tokens. If you read my CoinGeek article about ordinal NFTs today, you can see a little bit of my history and why I like tokens at all in the first place. It's actually started in 2005 when I was looking for a token solution. But Ethereum stuck out to me as, oh, cool. You can issue tokens on Ethereum. Got really interested in that. Started going to meetups and stuff in the Chicago area. But I also was really interested in mining. I liked mining conceptually. And so GPU allowed you to mine Ethereum and also mine, or somebody, I don't even remember who at this point, said, hey, you can also mine XMR. So you can profit switch depending on which does what and whatever. So like, cool, I can use hardware for different things. That got me into looking at Monero, which I thought was super cool because A, it wasn't a Bitcoin fork, and B, it wasn't Ethereum. It was actually a unique thing. The crypto note white paper was written by Saberhagen, which is another pseudonym name. And it was actually unique. Somebody actually designed a cool thing. So Monero, for all of its faults, actually was a unique piece of cryptographic research and development deployed in a public network. So I was curious and said, hey, I'm going to check this thing out. So I started mining Monero, not with a whole lot of hash power, but I learned by doing is kind of my ethos. So I got immersed in it and I really liked what I saw conceptually. They also had this notion of cash, like using their blockchain asset as a cash system. And so I figured, hey, we got a lot of synergies here. I'm gonna bore into the Monero community, for lack of a better term, and see what I can do. So basically did research, hung out, basically liked what I saw, and went at it. And then Bitcoin Cash, the BCH era, sort of crept on me roughly a year later. I had figured Bitcoin was dead. We lost the war, and then Bitcoin Cash happened. And so then I was very much like, oh, okay, cool. Big block Bitcoin. They want to do 8 megabyte block size limit. This is great. This is everything I wanted to do in the first place. And it was at that same time that Monero, I want to say it was 2017, 18, Monero went through this thing where they believed in ASIC resistance, which has always ticked me off. And part of it is because I've been a miner on and off for a lot of my time in blockchain. But the other one is it's a governance issue. If a group of people can say, this chain that is ASIC mined is no longer Monero. This chain over here that uses this new algorithm, this is Monero. This thing, that's centralization. That is developer centralization. If you can just say 1 week this is gold and next week this is gold, then it's not gold. If it's that arbitrary, that's not a hard money, it's not a sound money, then you're dealing with some kind of weird sort of corporate asset. And I think the law is very clear, actually, that you're involved in something that isn't real. Frankly, it's probably criminal. Anyways, so I lost interest in Monero and Ethereum, frankly, when BCH split. And I was super excited about BCH. I was super excited about BCH tokens. And I really liked Memo.cash. I loved this idea of using data, open protocols to bootstrap a social network on top of a Bitcoin network. That was awesome to me. So I got crazy excited. Big block Bitcoin coming back. We're going to turn everything back on. And then the infighting started. And then it was literally small blockers versus big blockers again. So the BCH people saying, well, we'll upgrade the block size limit when we have to, and blah, 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 blah. Same kind of thing. It was basically the same conversation that was being had, again, just slightly bigger. Like, no, we're not small blockers. We believe that the network should be capable of 32 megabytes every 10 minutes, but that's it. Any more than that is a centralization risk and blah, blah, blah. And so it just was literally like, okay, you're like Greg Maxwell's little brother conceptually from a narrative standpoint. And so for me, it just was crystal clear. I cared about Bitcoin, very specifically big block Bitcoin. And so when the roadmap of BSV was, hey man, we're going to fight for Bitcoin Cash. We're like, SV Node was a Bitcoin Cash implementation, by the way. It was like 2 months of mining Bitcoin Cash with SV Node. A lot of people don't know this, but we were going to fight for Bitcoin Cash. And then when the split happened, the way the split happened was super, super, super underhanded. It was a backstab 100%. And the people who I respected at the Bitcoin Cash Camp, guys like Roger Ver and some of the other, the Bitcoin ABC people and all this stuff, they acted like we were going to have a hash war and whoever had the greatest proof of work was going to win and blah, 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 blah. And then right at game day, we find out, but we had already made agreements that the ticker goes to the ABC implementation no matter what happens. Also, there's rolling checkpoints. Also, you're a new network now and BSV is this thing. So we came into this ready for an honest fight for the BCH ticker and for the sake of big block Bitcoin. And ultimately, I decided to go with the BSV people because I felt stabbed in the back by the BCH people. And BSV was the version of Bitcoin that was moving toward unbounded block size, unbounded script, everything, unlocking Bitcoin. Let's see if Bitcoin is truly valuable if you just let it be Bitcoin all the way. And so that's my journey from being interested first in Bitcoin, then moving into like Ethereum and Monero, and then a Bitcoin Casher, and then BSV. So there it is. Cut it into clips, everybody. I can feel the seethe from our small blocker friends. Mr. Ward, please put up the next question. For a fairly junior software developer, can you point me to some of the best resources and tools today to learn to build BSV apps? Love the sound of the Citadel, but cannot get to the US easily. I can relate. I think personally, there's two great places to learn how to do basically anything. And if you're a fairly junior software developer, I'm guessing that you have experience with JavaScript. It's the most common language that people learn. You learn it everywhere on Earth. It's what all web front-end stuff, or a lot of web front-end stuff, is built with. So it's a really good start. If you check out the documentation at script.io, that is SCRYPT.io, it will give you concepts and some example code and a whole bunch of really good documentation about how to use Bitcoin script to create tokens or do all kinds of really interesting things. The other thing that I really liked was run.network. I don't know if their website is still up because they have kind of moved on to other things and open sourced the protocol. Now, my company, Gorilla Pool, is releasing Jungle Run in the imminent future. So Run tokens will still be supported. I just don't know if their website is still up. But they also had very, very good documentation on how to implement tokens and smart contract using JavaScript. So I think those are two very good places. There's also the BSV Academy by the Bitcoin Association that's going to give you more of a overview on how Bitcoin works and why you might want to do a Bitcoin powered app. There's also a Bitcoin SV Discord group where you can ask all kinds of questions. What else would be good? Oh, check out Bitcoin Schema. I believe it's bitcoinschema.com. Maybe it's .org. I need to double check myself. But it's basically open protocols and frameworks that sort of define ways that you can interact with social or identity protocols and put them together to create all kinds of apps. So those are three things that you can check out and get your feet wet. Tinker, lucky for you, transaction fees are very, 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 very cheap. So you can test your stuff on mainnet and see how it works. Next question, please. Can you give your thoughts on the ramifications of NFTs on BTC? Is it a threat to BTC? Does this development validate BSV? Brandon, can you please play the ad one more time? I need to wet my whistle just a little bit more, and then I'll answer this question. Mr. Ward, Brandon Ward, please play the ad again. Hey, all right, let's get that question back up. Looks like we got a lot of questions to go, and we only have 20 minutes, so I'm gonna speed up my tempo a little bit. Sidom, can you give us your thoughts on the ramifications on NFTs on BTC? Is it a threat to BTC? Does this development validate BSV? I actually think this is the most bullish thing to happen in BTC in 5 years. The fact that you can upload data and a token and value and attach it to a Satoshi, I think is super bullish. It adds profitability to miners. It adds utility to BTC, which in my opinion, this is the kind of thing I didn't want to compete with and never thought that we would in BTC. I think this is a good thing for BTC. Now, if I'm going to put my forward-looking hat on, I have a feeling, and it's not based on just anything I'm making up, but the small blockers, the people that control the repo, the purity test people, the high priest robe-wearing small blockers, the laser defend the node at all cost types people, they are furious about what's happening here. 4 megabyte blocks every 10 minutes. They are dying inside every time a block gets mined, and the mempool keeps backing up more and more and more. And so it puts them into a corner where their presumption about code is law. If you can do it, it's valid. Well, now you got Luke Dash Jr. saying it doesn't matter if you can do it and it's valid. It's JPEGs are always invalid on Bitcoin and all these things. So now we've got these people like rolling back these hard narratives that they were literally dying on. They've planted flags on these hills so hard that I don't know how they can back them off and maintain any integrity at all. But then you got interestingly, people talking about, hey, this is why we need to ossify the code. We need to no longer have any development. It needs to be set in stone. Pretty funny. A lot of narrative pillars getting smashed over the last 2 weeks. But the NFTs themselves, they're experimenting and they're having fun. People are having a good time with them. Now, what I think is going to happen, I think there's going to be some kind of a night of the long knives moment where some code gets pushed and it breaks people's JPEGs. And if you're one of these people that's got a $25,000 picture on BTC and they fork you off the network or they stop serving you your data, well, then that's going to really tick some people off. This looks like it has all the ingredients to be a nasty little civil war. If that nasty little civil war happens, well, look, we're the people that went through this years ago, and we have been saying the exact same thing. Your data belongs on the blockchain. If it is valuable data, it should be on the blockchain where it can be attested to and distributed forever. That's a really cool property of Bitcoin that we agree with you on. So to guys like Casey Rodemar, the developer of the Ordinals NFT protocol on BTC, I could see him becoming an ally. I would see him as an ally anyways. He's a guy that looks at Bitcoin and says, hey, what a cool system to put really cool tokens on Bitcoin. He just probably doesn't have any context on all the stuff that started in 2013, 14, and 15 with the previous token war. But it's very relevant to point out that the entire Bitcoin civil war started with a token war and guys like Luke Dash Jr. saying, Bitcoin's under attack. We need to do all these things to make sure the block size is permanent and we get rid of all these big blocker people. And so we could see the same thing happen again. And there will be a whole nother crowd of burned people looking for allies for their genuinely good ideas. And then we've got the BTC people who are saying out one side of their mouth that, oh, Bitcoin's permissionless, and out the other end, if you do something we don't like, we're going to fork you off the network. So I think all of this makes a lot of cases for BSV. It shows that people actually value on-chain validation of tokens and stuff, which is something we've been saying for a long time, with small blockers telling us that we're full of crap. And so we've seen, no, the market has chosen NFTs on your blockchain, guys. So once the market decides, and if code is law, puts you in a weird position, doesn't it, folks? So no, I think it's really good for BSV, even just from a narrative standpoint. But I think there's going to be a lot of great minds that realize, hey, this doesn't really work on BTC at the level we would like it to. We'd like to go somewhere where maybe it works really, really well. And well, lucky for us, we've been doing all the R&D. And frankly, I think there's a lot of nice people over on our side worth working with. And we've seen the Twitch guys, for example, they're putting a lot of stuff on BTC. They're making relationships there that I think will act as a bridge to help bring people over. So that's my position on it. I'm sticking to it. Next question, Mr. Ward. What do gas fees look like for these NFTs? Are we going to see the same type of fees as ETH? So ETH and Bitcoin work very differently. There will be a raise in transaction fees if the mempool continues to back up. So if somebody wants to send, a large transaction of any type, maybe just want to send coins to Coinbase or Bitfinex or whatever else, if the blocks are full, you got to pay a higher fee. So we could definitely see fees go up on BTC, but I doubt we ever see them as high as they looked on ETH at the peak of their NFT thing. And that's for all kinds of technical reasons that I don't think anybody really cares about. Next question, please. Oh, Richard Baker, what's up, sir? I've actually been meaning to follow up with you because I miss you, sir. Hey, Kurt, good to see you and see you have a new haircut. Yes, I thought I would stop by. Takenovate is my smart contract platform on BSV, and looking forward to bringing it to the show in a few. Yes, I am very happy, Richard. I'm looking forward to it. It looks like we're probably already on the schedule too. So, Alex Moon. Let's get this worked out. Very excited to see what you're working on. Richard, you have always been a gem. So awesome. Next question, Mr. Ward. I have 2 100 terahash Bitcoin miners, but need a hosting service in the US. Can you recommend one? My company does it. Talk to Kevin, who goes by Super Goose and some numbers. I retweet him quite a bit. But if you go to Mine Like an Ape and send a DM or just see any of the things where the Mine Like an Ape account has tagged Super Goose, you can send him a DM. We have hosting all over the US. So we host in Washington State, North Carolina. We even have some in Canada as well. So please reach out. We would love to help you get good hosting. That'd be great. Next question, please. Kurt, did you talk to Peter Schiff after your last interview? We have reached out a couple of times. We have yet to hear back. So I like Peter. Not positive Peter likes. I don't think he terribly dislikes us. I think he's very, very, very careful with who he talks to in the blockchain space because he's a little spooky about blockchains in general. And who could blame him? But we'll keep on him. Why are BTC people associating ordinals with BSV? Probably just because the Twetch guys created an ordinals wallet. And it's not even really an ordinals wallet. Like they created a Discord that if you send them JPEGs, they can do the mint for you. And so they're just offering it as a service. But Casey Rodemer is a like a Bitcoin Core contributor. So he's, he is not Josh Petty. I put out a tweet yesterday jokingly suggesting that Casey was potentially a Josh Petty stock account. But why are they associating ordinals? I mean, so they do work similarly to like a Stas token, for example. So what you're doing is you're adding extra data to real Satoshis, and those Satoshis then function as a token until they are spent and recolored or whatever you want to call them. But they work similarly. It's not just Stas token. Stas token works similarly to the colored coins proposal, which goes back to 2013. If you read my article this week from CoinGeek, I kind of give the whole history of tokens on Bitcoin in a very brief summary, but I explain how colored coins worked or how they were proposed to work, and then how Counterparty sort of changed that up, and then the token explosion on BSV, which was op return tokens, and then now Stas. I did not mention Stas in the article, but ordinals work quite a bit like Stas tokens, which is not an op return token, but the token itself is actually a Satoshi that has been locked up with extra logic. So they are like BSV style tokens in that Stas tokens are a type of BSV token. So like obviously there's going to be some comparisons. BTC and BSV share quite a bit of similarity. I know there's a lot of differences and we like to focus on those things, but there's quite a bit of stuff that is also similar. So they're going to work similarly. Next one. CSW said the world will end up using one chain. How will it be regarding geopolitical differences? E.g., will the Western countries be able to shut out countries like Russia and Iran? So it's interesting. Like it really is a lot like the internet. The internet is an open protocol that all kinds of people use. You can get a computer, you connect to the internet. Now you're on the internet. You're trading IP information with other computers. the moment you connect your computer to the internet. But there's also like the Chinese internet or the dark web, for example, that you need a Tor browser to access. Those things are slightly different protocols that operate at different layers and different levels and with some different logic. And those are for a couple of reasons, but Bitcoin can work the same way. So if there was one network and everybody's using the free and open version of the protocol, that's great. But you can also create inside of script, you can create a DAG, for example, that has its own logic and its own rules, and that can be rolled up and spent out of existence also. So even if the whole world used the blockchain like BSV, the way that people use the internet today, China can still kind of have their version of it with its own rules. Although it does open up other opportunities for people to be able to broadcast to it in special ways for the sake of like political resistance, for example. It is a little bit different in the way that it functions, but there's opportunities both for extra freedom, but also for the there's also opportunities for it to be compliant with the fact that, hey, maybe Russia doesn't want American media to be streamed into Russia over the blockchain. So I think really at scale, they'll kind of work a lot the same way. And then there will be some distinct differences because Bitcoin is just fundamentally a different protocol than the various internet protocols, but they also share quite a lot of similarity from a user standpoint. Like most people will be using the very top layer, the applications. You're not going to be like further down the stack unless you're some kind of ISP or whatever. So that probably deserves a much longer and more complex response. Brandon, let me know in the private chat, which I just noticed you were sending me. Cool. Brandon, let me know how many more questions we have and whether I should speed up or slow down. I was once told BSV wallets are non-custodial. Does this mean you can use your seed phrase from RelayX to MoneyButton and vice versa? I don't know about to MoneyButton, but RelayX is indeed a non-custodial wallet. There are multiple wallets. Handcash is like a hybrid system, for example, where you hold a slice of your key and then other actors hold other slices of your key. So it's kind of like working with multi-sig. So it's not exactly custodial. It's not like any one party or any two parties can just spend your Bitcoins, but you also need to all work in coordination to spend your Bitcoins. And there's trade-offs for doing it that way. It might be more secure than you managing your own keys if you're bad at managing your own keys. But then you can also argue that it's less secure than managing your own keys if you're some kind of cypherpunk ninja. So all that to say, things like RelayX and Simply Cash, Twetch Wallet, 100% give you your private keys and you can use them for cold storage or whatever else. You are completely sovereign and non-custodial. But then there's things like Handcash that are sort of hybrid. And then there's things, is there a fully custodial wallet in BSV? I don't know that there's a fully custodial one. Oh, also Rock Wallet, which I've yet to test out a whole lot myself, but more and more I have it. I've downloaded it. I've got it sort of set up. I just haven't used it much. Seems like it does a lot of cool stuff and is also totally non-custodial. So you do have some options. Next one, please, Mr. Ward. My voice is starting to go. Are there applications or businesses ready to take advantage of Teranode? Yes, there's a few things waiting in the wings that could certainly use that terabyte size block stuff. Based on the research and development that I've seen from various projects, yeah, there's a bunch of big opportunities. However, Teranode itself, I don't know if Teranode will be, again, like a reference client implementation, or is it going to be some kind of commercially licensed thing or whatever? We don't really know yet because we haven't seen it yet. And I also, and this is going to be a little bit of an unpopular decision, but I'm a little bit of the mind that we don't really deeply need Teranode for anything that I've seen thus far. And therefore, a version of the current SV node implementation could be cleaned up and played with and streamlined in a lot of ways. And then also some various other network stuff that makes the network the way that it is today also be able to scale up considerably using just the SV node implementation. But it's one of those things where, you know, hey, do we build a 50-lane highway between two cities where not a lot of people live yet? And it's one of those investments that you just kind of have to, like, you have to make it early or else you miss the boat. And so this is why I support conceptually Teranode. But there's also things like Zokin and again, also the SV node client implementation that have different strengths too. So I kind of think that there's room for multiple implementations, and that's something that I think Craig would also heavily disagree with, and that Satoshi himself disagreed with. But since I don't necessarily agree with everything in the universe, that's kind of where my head's at on it. So yeah. Next question. Info create. Dr. Ben Gortzel at SingularityNet needs micropayments. Ajax is an ERC20. Why hasn't anyone tried to get to port BSV? Ben is wanting to create a marketplace for one. I don't know who Ben Gortzel is. I don't know what SingularityNet is or AGIX. I do know that ERC20 is the token protocol on Ethereum. Good question. Anybody who's watching, if you are a decent developer, you should check out the BSV. It was developed, I think, between Vianex and Script. It is the transpiler tool from Ethereum smart contract to Bitcoin script. So if you want to tinker with it and see what the value is there, you can probably port whatever the AGX thing or AGX is and do some testing with Bitcoin script. If it's a big opportunity, then shoot, go make that money, people. Be a good thing. Next question. Messy times, Mr. Messina. Some people claim the Chinese war balloon was funded by an NFT DAO. God, that would be just friggin' classic, wouldn't it? So there were a lot of things about quote unquote the balloon that were a little fishy in my opinion. Like how did it, for not even ironically, how did it unironically slip under the radar or over the radar or whatever it ended up doing? And why was it so marketed? For anybody that's ever had any experience working with people in the military, I'll tell you what, that kind of thing does not just slip by and all of a sudden the media breaks that, oh, there's a Chinese spy. How do we know it was a Chinese spy balloon? I don't watch the news. I don't know what the narrative is at this point on what that balloon is. But then I saw the Air Force shoot the thing down or whatever, and the whole thing has been a right wingers and left wingers all saying, here's why this is good for this, and here's why this is bad for this, and here's what this really means. And it all just strikes me as a very convenient political football. I think it would be hysterical if it was some NFT DAO, whatever, Brandon Ward in the troll box or a private box saying it's just a birthday balloon, right? It's literally like, oh, sorry, like it was somebody's 80th birthday at NASA, and we lost control of it as we were launching the thing. I don't know. It's a crazy world. I don't trust anything I see on TV. I don't trust anything the military is telling me is what. And if the media says that it's a good thing, it's probably not. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of research because now I'm curious if there's a blockchain angle on this damn balloon. Next question, please. What's up, Zap70? Hey, Kurt, how are the BSV miners doing? Are they making enough to survive? And what is the future looking like? Most mining is at roughly a break even right now. We're in the middle of a bear market. If you are under 100 terahash, you're probably losing a little bit of money at most rates that you can get commercially. And if you're over 100 terahash on your machine, you're probably making just a little bit of money. So you're basically breaking even. You're paying your bill. But what you really should do if you're going to mine is you should pay all your bills in fiat. You should stack those coins and hope that in the next bull market, they're worth a lot more money. But that has its own risks too. So basically, that's always kind of the case also. So as people leave, difficulty goes down, which means profitability goes up, which means unless it gets really, really small to the point where like there's no liquidity or something, you can always sort of pay your bill. Like it should always work out to roughly making the same amount in USD per month as you're spending. And then your hope is that over time, the coins that you mine to go up in value. And if those coins go up in value, then your miner probably also went up in value and you sell your coins and sell your miner. And now you've made money. That's the hope anyways. Next question. I think we have one more question. When 8 gigabyte blocks? Gorilla Pool actually mined a 6+ gigabyte block once and it got orphaned. So it could be done today in theory, but it would require a little bit of coordination between everybody to set their node policy settings. That's it. No more questions. We are near the top of the hour. I'm Kurt Wuckert Jr. This is the CoinGeek Weekly Livestream. I want to remind you to please like, subscribe, and hit the alert bell. This has been an AMA show. That's right. Ask me anything. Please share this with your friends. Let them know that we have an open troll box. We take questions from everybody as long as you can get them past the censorship board of Brandon Ford. Everybody, I have had a really good time doing this show with you, and I thank you for tuning in. Without you, this show would be impossible, as would everything else I'm up to. I really appreciate the love and support that I get from the community, and truly, truly, I mean this to everyone watching and everyone who isn't watching and everyone ever. Please be good to each other. That's the world we want to live in. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.